Alright, thanks for checking out the video. Seems like likes are the only thing helping content creators right now, so if you will leave a like, I would really appreciate that. Alright everybody, last night I posted a video on some details on the series, and as I wrote them and everything, I'm going to continue with that thought in this video, try to make it about the same length. Here's the first 3 books of the series. Language of Angels, which is Language of the Watchers. This is Gail Gullery right here. If it was just strictly Language of Angels, it would be A Tai de Elohime, plural. Then you have the Flame Grimoire and the King of Princes. Now I was told, I worked with 6 angels to produce these books. And more worked with them more in this one and into this one, and then they basically saw that I was moving and putting it together, and so there was less need for their contribution in as far as, straight up, evocation, summoning, and then, need an answer pertaining to the series. So by this point, it was coming together, but a lot of interaction, and my HGA, my Damon, of course, with me throughout this whole process. The 6 angels are listed in the first book. I believe I give them honorable mention. I believe I still do. It's not in this one in an original copy. Let's see. Yes, okay. Otis, Uriel, Tozu, Zervuv, Zeruvivu, and Huzoita. These are Enochian names, but this is a cherubim, a seraphim, another cherubim, an archangel, an ophanum, and a seraphim. That archangel, that's Kamael. Also known as Kamael, the C or the K. This book was written, you have to understand that the angels and my HGA were like, just get on with it. Just get on with it. Because I kept asking, well, what about this? What about this? What about this detail? Well, should I leave this in? Basically, they wanted me to get on with it, grind it out. And I believe it had, I know now in retrospect, that it had to do everything with the timing and the positioning of planets. Positioning of planets as in a greater pattern, a pattern for the year. We're talking about copyright is a 2019. So it's a 2019 and before this 2020. So it's very important that these 3 especially be done and out before the onset of the 2020 that we've all come through. Hopefully most of us have come through, but we're all fairly aware of the interesting sort of events of this year. So they had a specific time frame that they wanted me. So basically I kept editing on this book, 2 months to put it together, 2 or 3 weeks on editing, and I asked Uriel, I asked my HGA, I was like, okay, how much more? And they're like, just like, publish it, do it. I'm like, there's spelling errors in the book. The angels and the HGAs are like, it doesn't matter. There's magic in the books. Those things could be brushed up and polished up later. Just publish it now. So August the 26th, the Kindle was published. And then a couple days later, the print version was available. And these followed shortly. I'm very sure that check out the copyright on this one. It should be 2019. So these were put out before this 2020 began. I did some font. I updated the font in this. I put this cursive, for the Enochian. I wanted this book to be special. It's special as it's white compared to these. It has all the 3 magical colors, black, white, and red. But the character introduced here, the bringer of light here, is right here on the cover, of course. King of Princes, the bringer of light. This is the devil in the tarot, not the devil card. The devil card is the folly of man, the monster we create of our own choices. The actual devil is right here, and the number 1, and in the pose of the Baphomet. This right here, the second one, the Grimoire, it completed lists that began, lists of demons, and lists of angels, and so on, and the ethers. Because in the first book, people have asked me this question. A reviewer recently did a review of the book, and they did a good review. I was as helpful as I could be, and they didn't go too rough on me. They weren't too rough on me. They probably could have been a little bit rougher, as this is the first book I've ever published, and I told the angels whenever they said, we're going to put these together and do this. I said, I'm not a writer. I mean, I've done a little writing, but I'm not a writer. And they said, you're an old soldier who writes things down. It will be sufficient. And basically the reason is it's not about my expertise. It's not about my greater gifts and all this. It's about the Enochian. It's about the Enochian. One of the principal things that this book introduced, it's not about the gnosis of creation. It does have this. It has a creation gnosis, an angelic story of creation. It does have things in it. But the main thing is the absent character phonetic that is used in speaking Enochian, and the dictionary, by which you could take any prayer or affirmation just about and find your word, corresponding word, brother, there's the word, write it down. And then it says R, there it is, write it down, So, who's a, ude, okay, brother, R, whatever. So if it's an inspirational quote, a prayer, spell, you use this right here, and then once you have it written down, you use the Enochian numer key to get the gematria, and then you do your sigils. Bam. So you have, and then you can speak it, and you have the words, and you have the sigils, and it all fits into the ritual Enochian magic of the sorcerer, the magic science. So the most important parts that they wanted me to get out and published was the absent character phonetic, the dictionary in the middle, and then some of this, and these names, these lists, these war watchtowers, and the 4 domains of demons. These are Goetia. These are names of Goetia, names of the watchtower angels, and the rest of the 4 domains of the demons are finished in the grimoire. And there's other 72 sons of God, and in the summoning, or some the completion of the 30 ethers. The 30 ethers of D. You have these. Let's see where I put them later on. Yes, right here. So you have the 30 ethers in here. Now, for a long time, Rosicrucian, Golden Dawn, they've worked with these, Tex, Uti, Tex to Lil, as it said. But I completed them. You see, Texe befonozae dae dideuse, Utie he cose se mevue, Hize ozitoe he viue, Ikhe vie ecte ezunie hectozoe, Rie fede logube vie bietife, Ene hu heheve baga hineve fonipe e osie fitreve, Za a ufse zote ne zenue hie otiroe. So these are those first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, first 6 of the 30. Now in book 5, I bring in 21 abstract core ethers that are added to those 30. So those are the completed ones, and this is chakra working, 2 large chakra workings. If a person has used these, and they've been speaking the Enochian, then it will have helped awaken their connection to spirit. This will allow their HGA, their daemon, to guide them more closely and more purely, because the connection is coming in remembrance, is awakening. And the purity of the sentient force that is here within the world dream is getting stronger. If you're saving energy, then you're practicing sorcery. So on and so forth. But it's the use of the speaking of the language on a routine basis, on a daily basis, that actually begins giving you more guidance and more knowingness instantaneously than simply continuing to learn from the books, which you can. But the main thing is to That's why, and these ones that were added, someone asked me, the reviewer asked me why there was a, see, I did translations. I did some translations. It had to do with the familiarity for people who practiced ritual magic. So people that practice ritual magic, they're familiar with the lesser ritual, the pentagram, and the supreme ritual, pentagram. But here the ritual hexagram is by itself. The point of this is if you could do in the second book, there is a second circle. You cast a circle, you can cast a second one. You can use this ritual, the hexagram, during it, and you can banish it with the banishing of the circle right here. But to use these, vanishing, closing circle, opening circle, consecrating ritual tools, and this right here, Io, and the silver stars and pyramids, this right here, Lil, these are invocations that go along with the 30 aethers. That these are just examples. My intention was not to have all of them in here. That was for this book to have more included in it. The point of this is for you to read and to become familiar, and you could do like the protections here. You could practice, has the enunciation underneath it. So you can start with this protection right here. Hirivise, Gerazito, Zezue, Ehue, Suro tuze, Zirevoe, Hatsoze, Hiedeve, Deteve, Toze, Ratizine. And you practice, you speak it. And during your rituals in the night, you can use some of it. And all of these things will become clear why they're there. Even without me posting a video and elaborating and giving clarification. And then, of course, they asked about some things, the first thing that was ever given to me by my HGA, well, it was the training, my HGA gave me the translation for it. It was given to me by cherubim, but I didn't understand it at the time. The cherubim gave me the angelic, Zerdo e zona ele ta eone nazavav he de vive la parte. My HGA helped me with the translation. I am in itself the same as Hyacinth Pillars, made of the second flame. You could say that's one of the things that started it all. There's the Apocalypse Ether, the 20th key and translation, and finishes up with a couple of poems. The poems are about the King of Princes. So King of Princes is a theme throughout all the books. This is a Gnostic form of shamanic Nagualism and Satanism, all wrapped up in one. It is a practical craft, it's chaos magic, wrapped up into one. And then after that came book 4, which is another expansion of the dictionary. It's an expansion of the dictionary. And this is so you could take more prayers and more words of quotes of motivational quotes and things like that, and you can use the vocabulary to do more. And these have a few more. These have more like some more esoteric, and it has the planets. It has the planets. Let's take a look at them. Let's see here. 7 magical planets: Jupiter, Opie, Mercury, Onute, Venus, Srolote, Earth, Kaoske, Isizire, Saturn, Nigese, Iho, Temihe. 7 colors: red, Hizuvoe, blue, Uz, Zie, yellow, Lotivue, gold, Nivtuzue. There's gold color, then there's a word for gold, the precious metal. 2 separate words. Then here's the 12 signs of the zodiac. We have Runase, Nohate, Remitie, Dehrie, Ietie, Dehrie, Ehore, Ninohe, Tunie, Irore, Neze, Lenle, Itiese, Esolse. And as you use the Enochian, your pronunciation it evolves because of your HGA and your connecting link to spirit growing and growing and growing if you're using a lot of the invocations and inculcations. Then came book 5, which is the Temple King Resurrection 22nd Abstract Core. Again, focusing on King of Princes, but it has a lot of workings inside it, a lot of stuff. It has 7 planetary triads. 7 triads are so their invocation, their planetary invocations. Starts out with the sun. Starts out with the sun invocation, and then it has the root activation, which is chakra, and the first plane invocation. So basically, it's drawing in, churning the chakra vortice center, and then expelling and moving the energy on out through the first plane density. Then Mercury, sacral, second plane, solar plexus, third plane, for the Venus. And then you get to Earth, heart chakra, fourth plane. There's 7 planes of density of awareness on the 7 vortices of the chakra, and the 7 bands of the energy body. It's all the same thing. Then the 6th book is a book on sigil magic, the Darkness Tarot, Authentic Tarot, the Lantern Witch King. This has the Enochian Numer Key, of course, in it. It has the Enochian Numer Key. Okay. And then it has all the divinatory meetings for the Alpha Crowley Thoth. So all you have to do, this is to produce the most powerful sigil magic ever applied to a set of tarot cards to make them a highly efficient oracle of divination. But the main thing I wanted to have in this video was just to briefly mention the timing for the release and publication of these first 3. I was of the opinion that they weren't ready. Needed more proofreading, more editing. There were spelling errors. There were font variations in there that need to be smoothed out. The angels and my HGA said no, irrelevant. What there is contained therein is a divine magical potency, and it is to be released now. And they wanted, it had to do with the alignment of the planetary forces and the numerological attributions to this. I will finish up with one little piece here. Let's see, I'm pulling the page here, but I'm going to put these on the Facebook page and on an article on the Seldom Dreams channel. These are the actual glyph names in Enochian for the 21 characters of the true alphabet. True Enochian is 21 characters. And they talk about Nibiru, they talk about the destroyer, this dwarf planet, blah, blah, blah. But there is a binary dwarf twin to this system. And the name of it in Enochian is Nos Paxur. And I think that's the most beautiful name for any celestial body, Nos Paxur. And I'm going to do I want to work up an invocation to aid in the shadow work that people have to deal with to progress in their spiritual journey. I think that an invocation from this dark celestial body might help out a lot. It might help make the steps more clear and more tangible to go ahead. If it's hard to see the steps, it could take you longer to get up the staircase. But if everything is clear and not moving and solid and stable, you can simply go straight up. Well, it's sort of like that. But I wanted to give that clarification because even my vote did not count, but I told my HGA and I told Uriel, I said, you want these published now, quickly. And I'm of the opinion that they're not refined or polished enough. But I understand that I would defer to their guidance before I would ever